What is up, wrestling fans? It's that time of the week for the FLZ Wrestling Team to talk all things pro wrestling and call it right down the middle. And we're doing it once again from the OG home of 607 TWS. That's right, the ODPH dungeon, the realest thing in all of pro wrestling. That's right, it's this week's edition of 607 TWS, the wrestling show. And of course, I am your host. My name is Rich. Joining me in the co-pilot's chair, as he has been for the past couple weeks, and of course the OG co-host of 607 TWS, but you know him more as the host of the Ochadero Parlay podcast, better known as the ODPH. You know him as the extraordinaire of editing all things comics. I have to come up with different things, but most importantly, he's the editor-in-chief of FanlightZone.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ken M.
607 Podcast Nation, because we're going to throw it back. Like, I was expecting to hear Floodlands, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well,
to kick it in.
Yeah.
But reasons we can't play up. A shout out to the guys there.
Soon enough. Hopefully.
Yes, soon enough. Fingers crossed. But nevertheless, we came here to talk pro wrestling. We want to see you in the chat, the super chats. However you want to talk about AEW, WWE, and all things pro wrestling, get in here and let's do it. Share the show. We want to get everybody in because there's a lot to discuss this week, is there not?
Yes, there's a ton to discuss, mostly World Wrestling Entertainment, unfortunately for some people, but some people are getting excited. But on top of that, I just want to throw out real quick, giving out the positive vibes as my normal co-host, Miss Sammy, has had surgery. So
yes.
I know she's doing well. I don't know if she's still loopy off the drugs, but I know she's doing well. So there's that. So that is where she is, if anybody's wondering. So don't worry, everything is fine.
Yes.
However, resting up, getting that rest, and you never know. She might be crazy enough to jump in the chat tonight. Who knows? Who knows? We didn't send her the link just in case.
Yes.
I didn't want the liabilities. I don't have liability insurance for that.
Yeah, we don't need that lawsuit just yet.
And speaking of which, let's jump in. But before we jump into the show, let's talk about heading on over to the place that runs everything, FanlightZone.com. Check out all the amazing comic book reviews and everything else we have going on at FanlightZone.com. We are pop culture and comics, and you want to be a part of that. Of course, also follow us on all the amazing social medias. Of course, if you're watching us not on YouTube currently and you're watching us on Twitch or X, thank you so much. Make sure you're following us on those platforms as well. But I implore you, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're already part of it's there. If you are not watching us on YouTube, as soon as you get done watching the show, head on over to the Fanlight Zone YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications, and then, of course, hit that thumbs up to help us conquer the algorithm as we are getting Fanlight Zone up and running. And, of course, we're always excited to have everybody on board. Now that business is out of the way, let's talk all things pro wrestling. We're going to start with the big news from this past Monday. We had the farewell for AJ Styles, and of course that graphic gives it away because there's a little extra. But I want to talk about all of what happened with AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw, as I thought that this was actually a very fitting way to end his run. Obviously he lost at the Royal Rumble to Gunther, ending his career, and we all were kind of speculating about what was going to happen, what was going to go on. So they had this whole episode of Raw in Atlanta, Georgia, the hometown, or well, technically Gainesville is the hometown, but right down the road from Atlanta. And everybody showed up and showed out. AJ had a great final speech, giving it back to the fans, talking about his family. Of course, we then got, the why he didn't leave his gloves in Saudi Arabia, because he said, I didn't want to leave them there. I wanted to come home and bring them home with me. And he left the gloves in the ring. And before we could close out the show, we got the old school NXT. Maybe it's going to cut the fade to black and everything. We get the picture because, the American badass himself, The Undertaker, comes out. And what does he do? He, I was confused here. And, and they didn't let AJ know, because you could tell by his face.
Was completely caught off guard.
As Undertaker says, hey, we have some unfinished business. And AJ's like, wait a minute. Like, because he's like, oh, this is it? Well, we got some unfinished business. I'm like, what is he going to challenge him to a match at WrestleMania? Like, is this happening? Are we really, going to have another AJ Styles match this quickly? And, Taker said, the famous, he's like, there's a famous line, when you see me coming, that means you're going. It means you're gone. It means you're already gone. But in this case, I'm changing it. I'm going to start changing it. When you see me coming, that means you're going. And you're going to the 2026 WWE Hall of Fame. So AJ Styles will be inducted in the class of 2026 Hall of Fame. Very emotional moment for AJ, which, like I said, he didn't see coming. And I know we both had the same reaction before talking about AJ's final stuff. We had to say, like, I kind of dig this Undertaker showing up to induct people in the Hall of Fame business.
I think it's a great role for him right now. Obviously, he's synonymous with the WWE. For him to do this and kind of give it that, the easiest comparison is for the NFL Hall of Fame. To give that emotion, to get that crowd reaction, especially that reaction out of AJ, it was priceless. And it's a perfect way to kick off their Hall of Fame class for this year.
Well, yeah. Well, before that, we had Stephanie McMahon get inducted. It was announced.
True.
Once again, Undertaker did that as well. And that was kind of a little weird when it happened because we were like, what's going on? But now, I like this. I think this is a good way. Maybe everybody, you should just have the Undertaker just show up, and that's how you get inducted in the Hall of Fame. I think that is a cool gimmick. And like he said, when you have that old turn, when you see me coming, that means you're already gone. Well, now it means you're going. So you see Undertaker coming, you're going to the Hall of Fame. And I thought that was really cool. So now that we know that, let's peel back. We can also talk about him going to the Hall of Fame, but we'll start, Ken, in chat. Of course, you drop your thoughts. What was your thoughts on AJ Styles' final appearance in World Wrestling Entertainment?
I thought it was perfect. It's the way it should have been in front of his hometown in Atlanta. He addressed his family. He gave, testimonials from his time in TNA and New Japan. It was as perfect as you could make it. And he explained everything to kind of, dispel some rumors about his future. He just wanted to be home and be a full-time dad. And, I loved how he put that in his speech. And it was a perfect send-off. And then the Undertaker segment really was the cherry on that Sunday.
Yeah, and I like what they did because afterwards they had WWE's YouTube channel had a little more extra up with him being emotional, hugging people in the ring, whole ring, ring sellout. Of course, throughout the night we got to see different people. Shinsuke Nakamura was there, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows were there. Of course, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa were there. So we had Bullet Club in the house. Abyss, dressed as Abyss.
Yes.
If you didn't notice, Chris Parks put on the Abyss gear, came out as Abyss. Frankie Kazarian was there, which was pretty cool. There was a lot of Omos, the giant Omos showing up. And, I don't know if you caught the background when CM Punk and Cody Rhodes tried to pick up Omos and put him on their shoulders. It didn't work out so well.
That was fun.
But I thought there were some really cool moments there. I mean, you got to see some real emotional stuff. We saw some of that coming out of Saudi. They did the great video package that they put on YouTube of everybody, hugging and embracing AJ. And then in this moment, I mean, some of the ones that stood out to me, Asuka was very emotional. So wasn't Kairi Sane. Natty was emotional enough to after she talked to AJ for a minute, she was over with Abyss and kind of getting consoled by Chris Parks. And like there was so much really cool. I thought that it was really fitting, you have in December we had John Cena. And to the masses, what John Cena means for wrestling, to myself and you and everything, like larger than life star, belongs on. If you're talking about and I hate using the word, as you know, because everything is pro wrestling, but when you talk about sports entertainers and people who transcended, John Cena's on that Mount Rushmore. He might even be the George Washington of that Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to have the way he went out, which was really cool and everything like that. And then the dichotomy, like AJ is always going to be on that Mount Rushmore of greatest workers. When everybody separates it down, they separate it between the entertainers and the workers. And like I said, it's all magic, baby. You know what I mean? But let's be honest, that's the cool part. And so you had that dichotomy, and to see everybody come out and the respect that is given, and even like I said, the video packages we got to see after to YouTube, and even in Saudi with Roman Reigns acknowledging AJ Styles, and very cool stuff. I very, very cool stuff. Once again, some people were wondering where Roman was, and once again, I agree. As much as I like seeing him around, it steals from moments.
Right.
You almost pushed that line with Undertaker coming out.
Well, I mean, I think so, but I think at that point, AJ got as much out of that segment as he was going to get. So I don't think.
No, they let it breathe.
Right. That's the whole thing. I think had they rushed into that,
right.
Like if he came out first and then he gave that speech, I think that would have really.
Right. I mean, they did. I think like I said, I think they did. But I'm just saying, when you really look at it, like it can steal a moment.
Yes, completely.
And Roman Reigns is a guy who's going to steal a moment. Not on purpose. Not because
he's
Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns. Yeah. You know what I mean? You heard the Punk got kind of booed earlier in the night when he mentioned Roman Reigns and how he's going to kick Roman Reigns' ass, and everybody booed him. And he's over. So that should just tell you where you're at. But yeah, I thought it was very done well. I thought it was very cool. And now I can't wait for the Hall of Fame. We got AJ Styles and Uncle Allen is in the Hall of Fame. And that's going to be super, super cool. Might as well put him in the same year, first ballot all day. I don't know.
Sense.
I don't know who would vote against that. I just don't.
Yeah.
Let's put up the graphic for the road to WrestleMania, because everything else that's happened this week is basically the road to WrestleMania. And I do want to start off, because I already mentioned it, CM Punk cutting a promo where, obviously Finn Balor is a stop this Saturday at Elimination Chamber. We'll be talking about that later, but he's already kind of looking past Finn Balor and saying, hey, Finn Balor can play the what if game, but I don't play the what if game because I don't need to play the what if game. And then he kind of did play the what if game, because he said, hey, this week Roman Reigns ain't here, but next week Roman Reigns here. What if I punch Roman Reigns right in his mouth? So they're kind of like heating some things up there, but that's not the big story.
Mm-hmm.
The big story would be, we got the decision from the 2026 WWE Women's Royal Rumble winner, Liv Morgan. She decided who she was going to face at WrestleMania, and it was decided that Liv Morgan will be going one-on-one with La Primera. That's right, Stephanie Vakir, for the WWE Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. That was the match we all said that should go down. That was the match that we're getting. So that means this upcoming Saturday's Elimination Chamber, which we'll talk about later, the Women's Elimination Chamber will be for the rights to fight Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. So, Ken, was this the right? We talked about it last week a little bit, but now that we know this is the call, now that it is official, we are getting Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vakir Women's World Championship. What's your thoughts? How are you feeling?
Right call to make. Nice setup for it. Really starting to build a feud with him, because that's the one thing that I thought we were going to kind of just force it with each other than just Liv wants the belt. They're really starting to get into it as far as building a storyline. I'm loving what I'm seeing thus far. I think Jade versus the winner of the Elimination Chamber, that adds a little more mystery. And I think this is just nothing but big wins for both Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is a big bucket of win. And I had mentioned last week that if you were looking to have a women's match be the main event, possibly a night one main event,
yep,
it would be Stephanie Vakir and Liv Morgan. I see that somebody's chiming in.
Yes, she lives. She's in the chat. And she said another great Liv and Stephanie segment on Monday, main event worthy. And
yes,
completely, I think that should be the call for night one WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's what I've said. I think that was your call. If you wanted to get the women back to the main event of night one, that is your definitely call. I mean, it's a no-brainer that the main event of night two will be Punk and Roman Reigns.
Yep.
I mean, there's not a bigger match out there. Hence why I said you could do something herky-jerky and have Finn Balor win, but the belt has to come back to Punk, because there's no way you can advertise that match and then bait and switch. And nothing against Finn Balor, who I absolutely love and adore. There's just no way that the Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns is a night two main event. And I'm not trying to crap on Finn Balor, who I think is a tremendous. I'm just looking at, hey, on paper, the night two main event is supposed to be the biggest match on the card.
Oh, completely.
And I mean, last year, technically night two didn't work out to be big. Well, star power wise, Cody versus John Cena was a bigger moment.
Sure.
However, match wise, the night one main event with the triple threat was way better. And this year, I think the women are going to make it back, because I think there's enough story with Liv and Stephanie. I think there's enough. The two of them are talented enough. I really feel like this is the year where I'll get on my soapbox if they are not the night one main event. If for whatever reason we get, and we'll talk about this later, and I'm not saying this is my pick, but if we get some kind of Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes match for night one main event, I honestly, this will be one of the times where I say, not only are they creatively bankrupt, but they don't know what the beep they're doing.
Yep.
Because quite frankly, there is no way in hell there's another match, because they haven't built up.
Yeah.
So there isn't another match really that deserves that spot or could be in that spot. Am I wrong?
No, completely. I mean, I don't care if you put the rumored 5-way for the belt, whatever. If you're going to make it a scramble, just do it GCW style, have it open night one.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it. There is no better storyline you can do to main event night one than Liv and Stephanie, period. They're building it the right way. The crowd's getting behind it. The internet's buzzing about it. That's the way you should do it. Trying to force Cody in there. And granted, I love Cody Rhodes. I think he's amazing. But there's no reason he should be in that main event slot. And for them to open up with a scramble match, which I think would be brilliant to do, is the right call, and give the spotlight to Liv and Stephanie. They definitely deserve it.
And even if you didn't want to open it with the night 1, you could open it night 2, because we've
Oh,
had
sure.
the World Heavyweight title. But then again, last year we had the World Heavyweight title open night 1 with Jey Uso versus Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
You could have, it's not like the WWE title cannot be open that way. And once again, if you're really like, oh, well, we don't want it to be okay, have it open night. If it is the rumored scramble match, which I don't know, we'll talk about more later, whether we give our picks for Elimination Chamber. But I just, even if it is that means it lends itself to me to be the night 1 or 2 opener, because you should open with an exciting match.
Yes.
With all the stakes on the line. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't take anything away from Drew's title run. If that is, listen, if you're not main eventing, opening the show, you're setting the pace for the rest of the night.
And I will also point this out. Why don't we do it like this? Why don't we go strong heavy with the women's stuff on night 1 and strong heavy with the men's stuff on night 2? You could have both the women's title matches on night 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could also have the women's intercontinental title match on night 1, because obviously we'll talk about an Elimination Chamber big match, which should probably lead to a WrestleMania match of some sort, if I'm not correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it, dive in it more later. I know we're teasing too much, but I don't want to talk about it twice. But you have that, and you have all this opportunity. Julia's been over. You could literally put all 4, I shouldn't say all 4, maybe 5 if you count the women's tag titles, which, by the way, are held by Rhea and Io. So they should be defended because they're the 2 biggest women's stars, or 2 of the biggest women's stars. So now you could have all of night 1 focused on the women and have a couple guys matches spurned in there. If you're going to have 6 or 7 matches like they usually do, you have 4 or 5 women's matches in that. And then night 2 have it. And I think that would be fresh and something new, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What you got?
Cody Burris, 456 is, what's inside that box this Saturday. We'll be talking about Elimination Chamber a little later in the show. We have our theories about that.
We will be talking about.
We have our theories about that.
I will be talking about the box just a little bit later. But I also want to touch on this. We had another WrestleMania tease, because this is Road to the WrestleMania, and that, of course, was Brock Lesnar. There's no graphic for this country. You don't have to worry. Brock Lesnar laying down an open challenge.
Yeah.
So my question to you, and my question to the chat, who do you think, they put the dates up on the screen. We know that Brock's going to be at 5 or 6 dates between now and WrestleMania. We have 5 or 6 dates to find out who's going to step up, as Paul Heyman said, and challenge Brock Lesnar, because now Brock Lesnar is the one that took the streak from Undertaker. So now that spot belongs to him. It hasn't belonged to him before, but whatever. It is what it is. I guess we get some BS. So my question is, who?
The easy pick would be Obafemi, which would be an amazing match. I'm going to say it's Gunther, because I think they're going to tease a program with him and Lesnar going into SummerSlam. So I think this is the start of it, because I think Gunther is just going to think he's running Monday Night Raw, do something foolish, bump into Brock and try taking him out, and then that sets up the match.
I don't think that'll be the WrestleMania match, because I do really believe it'll be the SummerSlam match. You might get to see them kind of in the back at Mania, but I think you're not going to see a SummerSlam. Obafemi is the odds-on favorite. If we're talking about locks and leaps, I feel like Obafemi is the odds-on favorite at WrestleMania. It's a big way to put over the big man, right? But I have heard some inklings, and I know you like it, so I got to do it because it's been a while since we did it. I heard some inklings about a man named L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Listen, I'd be all right with that, because that's a huge moment. I mean, Brock, in a kind of a weird sense, has taken the Undertaker spot. Like, that's a main event slot to be facing Lesnar at Mania. For L.A. Knight, who needs something, and if he's not going to win the Elimination Chamber, he has to have that moment. If the movement is still going to be a thing, that's where he put him in. So I'd be perfectly fine with that.
My only thing that I don't like about that is the possibilities of having him lose. Like, if
he has to go over. Like, it can't be a John Moxley.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a feeling that if it's LA Knight, he's not going to go over. I feel like if it's Obafemi, he's going over, because I really feel like Brock is finishing up. I feel like Minnesota, SummerSlam. I feel like that's it. I believe that it's going to be Gunther there, because it's going to probably be Gunther. Let's be honest. But at Mania, this is a perfect opportunity to put over the ruler, and in a big way. And they've done a great job so far of making Obafemi feel like this larger than life, which he is, superstar, if you will. And I think that this would just be that next level, because if he conquers Brock Lesnar, the sky's the limit. And I think that that would be a moment like that you can't not take away, not taking anything away from LA Knight. I just don't know if they're putting LA Knight over that matter. And if you put LA Knight in there to lose the Brock, it doesn't help any.
No, it's like I said, when Dean Ambrose had to go face him, like that was the moment. If you're going to make Dean over, that was going to be the time. That's if you put LA in that situation, you have to have him win.
You mean the time that allegedly Brock may have shot on John Moxley?
The allegedly,
yes. According to Paul Heyman.
Yes.
If somebody wants to get cute with Brock Lesnar, it's fun times. But I think that there's a lot of things open there. I think that that's the route they're going. I think Obafemi. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting on Obafemi because I think it's just a big moment. And like I said, I do believe that Brock is definitely finishing up, if you will.
Yeah.
I think he's calling it a career, and all signs would point to SummerSlam due to the fact that it would be his hometown, home state. And he, rides off in the sunset.
Yeah.
After Gunther. I mean, I wish he would have rode off in the sunset a lot sooner, but
reasons.
I have a minute. And I know we don't have a graphic up, but we had AEW Dynamite last night.
Yes.
I know Ken M. bated breath. What was your Dynamite takeaways?
Swerve Strickland's heel run is going to be fantastic. I thought it was kind of crazy. They did, Mile High Mayhem for the main event, but listen, that's just fun.
It was fun.
When they do that, that's just fun. So I can't complain about that. The MJF Hangman segment, that was some old school heel stuff with MJF and the coin.
Mm-hmm.
I did not mind it. I actually was like, it was predictable, but there's something.
But it was fun.
Yeah, because of how he plays his heel character, because he's such a vintage heel. So I love the setup for it. I'm actually getting interested in that main event because I'm kind of curious now how that's all going to play out. But I thought as a whole, AEW Dynamite's been a lot better than it's been in recent weeks.
Well, I've said this. The last couple of months of AEW Dynamite has been very, very stellar. Listen, I know Sammy's listening in the chat, but I'll tell you what, she was off the ball there with the talk about Swerve Strickland being a heel. Because, oh boy, Swerve definitely delivered another tremendous heel outing. Of course, hey, if you're going to go after Kenny Omega, once again, you're going to get booed.
Yeah. And
I liked it. I dug it. And once again, Swerve Strickland's great at everything he does. And I agree with you. I thought there was some real classic MJF stuff. And like you said, it was kind of predictable, but not, because let's be honest, it's been so long since we've seen something. And I'm going to use this as a loving thing, as cheesy as a fake coin.
Yeah.
But it works because you don't see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you see things all the time, it doesn't work as much. And I think that they did a really, really, really nice job with that. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to believe it or not, I think going in, Revolution could be the most anticipated, in my opinion, pay-per-view from AEW in quite some time.
I agree.
Where I'm very excited to get to the pay-per-view. Like it's built. And I think that a lot of that is due to the fact that we haven't had a pay-per-view since December.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not getting one until March. So no pay-per-view in January, no pay-per-view in February. We're going into March, finally getting the pay-per-view. They've done a good job. Actually, I'm going to say it. Great job of building this pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And to the point where I think that this is now becoming a must-watch pay-per-view. And once again, I understand there's always detractors on both sides. And if you're a detractor, that's fine. But if you haven't been watching, give it a shot, because I feel like this is the best that they've done probably since 2020.
In quite some time, I will say that.
I love it. I'm not talking about fleeting moments either. I'm not talking about like Hangman and Swerve's feud, which was amazing. But there was a lot of crap that was going on. Or like MJF and Adam Cole's feud that, unfortunately got nipped in the bud early. But still, like, I'm not talking about those things, because there has been moments over the last 5 years that have been good. But since really 2020, 2021, they haven't really been firing on the cylinder as a whole.
Yeah.
Like the whole card I wanted to see. And so far, everything that we know that's going to be on Revolution, I'm like, oh, I want to see that. There's a story. Oh, I want to see that. There's a story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to see that. There's a story. And there's so much. And it feels like as we get closer, it's like, it's one of those times where we are usually judgmental about, oh, they're going to give us too much, where I'm kind of like, you know what? I could take a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the only reason why is because it's so good.
Yeah. They've really taken the time to build up some storylines that are really engaging. And I think that's been the one thing. Like, we always know the in-ring product is going to be great, but there's a point when it's just super indie and there's no story to it to get it involved, attached with. Now we have great storylines that are going to go some places So I'm just hoping they keep this momentum up because, yeah, for the first time in a long time, I'm really excited to watch an AEW pay-per-view.
And we don't have a graphic for this, but I wanted to throw it out there because it was literally breaking before we went on air. So we're talking, a little after 6 Eastern?
About 6:30.
6:30. It was breaking that now, for those of you who didn't know, the battle over WBD has been decided. Netflix is now bowing out. Paramount will be buying Warner Brothers Discovery. So WBD will be now owned by Paramount. We'll take all of any kind of feelings aside. I understand there's a lot of them. It's a controversial one, but we're here to talk about pro wrestling. And I want to ask Ken, this was happened right before we on. So I know we haven't had enough time to like really think about this. So this is really a raw moment. But what is your knee-jerk reaction? How is this going to affect AEW, who A, is on Warner Brother Television, and B, has a small ownership by Warner Brothers Discovery? And by the way, it's a very small. It's less than 10%.
Yeah.
But it's still, there's still something there.
Well, I honestly don't know. I mean, this is a huge move for all of media, period.
Mm-hmm.
But to see AEW go there, I don't know. I have guarded optimism. I'll say that because there's just so much uncertainty with this move that whenever you have a new partnership in that aspect, you don't know what they're thinking of pro wrestling. And, you know, much like some of the other properties that are under, the other umbrella, it's such a tricky thing to do an early prediction. I'm hoping for the best because right now we're seeing AEW really thrive and really get to what I think a lot of us have been waiting to see, unless you've been an AEW sicko day one and, you love the product, which is great. But for, some that have been a little skeptical of the storylines and such, we're now hitting that stride point. I'm just hoping that they don't do anything to mess it up.
I'm going to use the word cautiously optimistic, or words, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Because on one hand, I'm like, hey, they're doing some great work. They're doing some great business. The numbers, the numbers are not, it's not massive like some other people would like you to think, but they're still good. They're definitely doing a good share of numbers there. It's not like, the sky isn't falling, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But there's way too much X factor that we're going to be unpackaging probably in the upcoming weeks as things start to unroll because obviously this is not happening overnight. The sale has to still be finalized. There's still, I'm sure because of who's involved, the FCC is not going to have an issue with granting the thumbs up. But, but hear me out. All those X factors is what worries me because there's a lot like, and it should worry most wrestling fans. And like I said, trying to stay out of the politics of it and just saying, hey, we know Paramount has a very big stake owned, not just owned, but financed by the Saudi Arabian government. We know that there's ties to the current reigning president of the United States of America. Mm-hmm. We know that same president has ties to TKO Holdings, and the Saudis also have ties to TKO Holdings. And I'm not saying that they're going to screw over AEW, but I'm also not saying they're not going to. And I think that those are the X factors that really have to be on the table. And it could have nothing to do with numbers. It could have nothing to do with anything but the fact that, hey, our friends are over here and we don't like you. Mm-hmm. And that scares me because what scares me with it, like I said, skirting, because I don't want to get political on it. What scares me is when you have a partnership where the FCC can say yes, and then the FCC won't be able to protect contracts is a problem.
Yeah, it's just going to be a messy situation.
Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen.
No, but it's just...
Hopefully, we'll do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully, the right things will happen. There's a contract in place. There's still a lot of time on that contract, and nothing will happen, and we can still do business as usual, and wrestling fans can rejoice. However, there's part of me, with knowing how the world is in 2026, that goes...
Well, like I say, it's just any type of business deal. It always gets messy. Like,
it does.
It's never just clean cut and just,
But you add in those other factors, and what leg does? And I listen. I'm not trying to say he's always a little guy, but what leg does Tony Khan have to stand on? Yeah. If they go, hey, because our friends over here, we don't want you on TV because your complaint would go to the FCC.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen when it hits the FCC? They're just going to go, oh no, that's just how business works, even though that's not how business works.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scary part. Like I said, I hope that we're just but once again, we're going to keep our eyes on this. But that's my knee-jerk reaction.
Like I said, that's just our opinions on it. Chat, super chat, definitely throw your opinions in about this too. But like I said, we're cautiously optimistic, and we're just hoping for the best for all parties involved.
And like I said, this could become a non-issue, and it's fine. And I hope, I hope 110% it's a non-issue. It's just that you have to bring these up because realistically, it's 2026, and what have we learned in 2026? If shit can rain from the sky, it's going to rain from the sky.
Yeah.
expect the unexpected because it's around every corner. And I really feel like as a whole, we all have that. And that's why I say we try to stay out of like the political aspects. That's why we're dodging around it a little bit, is because let's be honest, wrestling is an escape.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we forget about what's going on. That doesn't mean we don't fight against what's going on, because obviously Brody King's out here doing the Lord's work.
Yes.
But at the same point in juncture, it's hard. We want to be entertained. And the same thing goes for comics. And I understand for those people who don't have things that, oh, I don't like it when politics is entered by comics. Newsflash. Politics has been in comics for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please don't tell them how the X-Men got their form. You know what I mean? Like, but that's another story for another show for another day, folks. And like I said, we try to, like here at Fanlight, we really do try to keep it. Let's talk about the fandoms and have some fun. So, but we do have to talk about that. We will be keeping it up, and we will not shy away from talking about it. And trust me, if you ever want to see a rant happen on YouTube, trust me, you will get a rant if some BS happens.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping not. I'm just hoping.
I'm hoping as well. Like I say, cautiously optimistic. That's the takeaway for tonight with that.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
But now it's time. Ken, I know you've been chomping at the bit. I know the chat's been chomping at the bit. It is now time for us to break down the card of this upcoming weekend's event. Of course, that is the 2026 WWE Elimination Chamber pre-show extravaganza. And we are going to preview what's going on and give our thoughts and picks. And of course, before I even dive in, chat, super chat, everybody out there, if you want to throw your picks in as we go through, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your picks. We're going to have some fun with this as well. But let's first and foremost talk about this. Is Elimination Chamber goes down this Saturday, February 28th, the last day, leap year. It's amazing, isn't it? We have Chicago, Illinois, the United Center. The United Center, where Michael Jordan used to play. I just want to throw that out there. The statue's still out front, Ken. And now Chicago's second favorite son, because I have to feel like Michael Jordan is their favorite son.
Yes.
Their second favorite son, the Second City Saint, CM Punk, will be on the card at Elimination Chamber. So, are you ready to talk Elimination Chamber?
I am ready to talk about this.
We got 4 matches confirmed. They may add another, but I feel like with the 2 Elimination Chamber matches, they probably won't. Let's start there, by the way, before we dive in, because I know that you and myself and Sammy have been very critical. And I'm going to be critical. Now, there's a happy medium, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes there's too many matches on a pay-per-view card, and I'm looking at you sometimes AEW, and I get it. You're trying to give me the value for my money, and that's why I try to remember that, and I try to defend that part, even though I say, hey, instead of 13, can we shave it down to like 9, 8, 9, 10 tops, right? But there's also got to be something said about why is there only 4 matches on this card? 2 Elimination Chamber matches, 2 singles matches. Why in the age of 2026, when you are making people pay $30 unless you live overseas, which for our international watchers, thank you for watching us internationally, and you get to watch it on Netflix. Of course, also you get to watch it here on Netflix if you're part of a VPN, the 3 magic letters. And by the way, if there's any VPNs looking to sponsor,
yes,
Family Zone is always taking sponsors. I'm just throwing that out there. Business thing aside, putting on my business cap, Ken. But anyways, let's dive over here. And so, Ken,
yes,
4 matches. Is this acceptable for a pay-per-view? And no, it's not a PLE anymore. Because once they started charging you $30 for ESPN Direct, it became a pay-per-view. Is this proper for a pay-per-view?
No, but yes, because here's the deal. I think they're going to add one match
Okay.
sporadically.
So you think 5 will be fine?
5 is fine because the chamber matches are going to take a while. Like, I'm not saying Royal Rumble length, but they are very time consuming.
True. I agree. I agree with that.
So I would say if they add one more, I say yes. If not, man, you had better give us something memorable like that's going to top WrestleMania, because I agree with you. I think for the fact that this is a pay-per-view, this has to have something added to it. And I understand about the box thing, but we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about the box.
But
we're talking about the box.
But that does not count.
That's not a match.
That does
that's
not count.
Segment. Segments never count as matches.
Right. So unless, like, of course, they open it up and whoever's inside goes in for a match.
But then it'll be a squash match.
Right.
Usually,
But that's the whole thing. So it's like, it's a fine line to walk. I'm going to say as of right now, no. But I feel as if they add one, okay, just because of how long the chamber matches are.
Pay-per-views are nice when they're at 3 hours.
Yes.
I like the 3-hour time. I guess that's because we grew up in the age of 3-hour pay-per-views. If you push it to 4, depending upon what time it starts, depending upon what day of the week, I'm fine with that, right?
Yeah.
But between 3 and 4 hours is the sweet spot. Am I wrong? I feel like that's a sweet spot.
No, I'm right there with you.
So here's my problem with WWE before we even talk about this. Even if they add another match, I think it's a little better. But I think we should be getting between 6 to 8 matches on a pay-per-view card. Because I feel like here's the other problem. We are going to get probably no less than 7 commercial breaks. And on top of those commercial breaks, they're going to do stupid stuff that we've seen 1.5 million times after those commercial breaks. The amount of dead air and space in between matches in World Wrestling Entertainment reminds me of the UFC before they decided to go to the 11 p.m. rule. For those of you who might not watch the UFC, the UFC had to, at one point in juncture, they adopted when sales took a tanking, the 11 p.m. Eastern rule, which was meant that they used to do all these stupid packages that nobody gave it about. And then when the card went past 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they cut the packages down to make the card move faster so people weren't up until 4 a.m. And yes, me and Ken from experience have live streamed during a UFC pay-per-view that was at 4 a.m. And literally, I remember saying to you, even though the main event was decent, saying, I am just tired of this shit.
Yep.
My point of the matter stands. There is a happy spot. If I'm going to have to sit through, and now at least, granted, the last WWE pay-per-view we saw, which was Royal Rumble, their commercial breaks actually were commercial breaks instead of a thing on the screen that said commercial break here.
Yeah.
Which is even more pointless, because if you're not making money off of advertisers, then why in the hell do we put it in there? Only put the commercials in if you're making money. But even then, why am I paying $30? Not that I am, but why am I paying $30 if I'm buying it to then have commercials for shit I don't care about instead of wrestling? And then after the commercial, then we have to go to Michael Cole and Corey Graves, who are going to talk about the same shit they talked about on the pre-show. They're going to talk about the same shit that we talked. We're going to see the same video package we saw on the pre-show. By the time in between matches, there's like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes each. That is you could shave some of that down and add a couple more matches and still do stuff. Why don't we go back to the way pay-per-views were? When we were kids, when they were 3 hours, we got all the matches. We were getting 6 to 8 matches easy, closer to 8, and still video packages and still had plenty of time.
It's a great question. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I wish we would get back to the 6 minimum, but like I say, in certain cases, like the Rumble and the Chamber, I understand. Not saying I agree, but I understand it.
Agreed. I agree in that aspect. But once again, if you're going to waste my time with these damn commercials,
oh yeah, you gotta have something.
Then give me something else.
Yeah.
And why am I paying? Why are we getting commercials when we're paying for this? When it was a PLE, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
This, you can call it a PLE, but if you're paying $30 for the service, it's a pay-per-view, because nobody's buying ESPN Direct to watch sports. I hate to tell you, because they don't put shit on there that you can't watch elsewhere. Am I wrong? What do they put on there? I can watch hockey without being on there. I can watch basketball without being on there. I can watch football. Monday Night Football is played on ABC and regular ESPN. I don't need ESPN Direct unless I don't have cable at all. And even then, you can still watch it on YouTube. Just saying, I have no sport fan friends who, like us, we watch sports. We do sports. We watch a lot of sports.
Yes.
Have you ever watched a sport on ESPN Direct?
No, only when the UFC was
right. But now the UFC's on Paramount.
Right, no, that's the thing.
By the way, with less commercials and for free.
Yeah.
By the way, that deal is going well. I'll give them credit there. Let's throw it to the side.
Yeah, but I mean that's the whole thing. But that's the changing market for everything, though.
Well, it's just ESPN sleazy.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like I say, just
Yuck.
but it's streaming in general. But that's all.
Yuck. We'll get a
Yeah.
Yuck. Anyways, let's talk about that. Let's dive in and actually talk about the card, because actually I am intrigued and interested in this card.
Yes.
And let's start off with one of the two singles matches, and this is the singles match for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Your champion, big match, Bex, big time Bex, the champ, the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Isn't that what she's calling herself?
Yes.
Because Sports Illustrated.
Well, hey, she's not the only one saying it.
Sports Illustrated said it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, we're talking Becky Lynch. The man, Becky Lynch, is taking on AJ Lee. That's right, AJ Lee, legendary AJ Lee. They've had quite a feud, and I've actually dug this feud. I've dug around with it. We're in Chicago. The Women's Intercontinental Championship's on the line, Ken. I'm going to start with you, chat. Remember, drop them in there. Tell us what your thoughts are. Who you got walking out? Chicago as the WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion.
I think it has to be AJ to set up the rematch of Mania.
Oh, you were hit the nail right on the head. I'm with you on that, by the way.
Yeah.
I think this is a no-brainer. I think this is a WrestleMania worthy match. I think we need to have this match at WrestleMania. I think that with the fact that we've talked about how the build and road to WrestleMania has been a little bit shaky, it's getting a little better, but it's still shaky.
Yeah.
We'll let you know after Elimination Chamber as it shapes out a little more if it's getting better, a lot better. But I think this is one of those big matches you need on the card. We now know we have Liv and Stephanie Vaquer. And I mentioned earlier, they have an opportunity to have 4 or 5 big women's matches on this card. On the Mania card, that is.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of them. This is an attraction of like no other. And you can even throw some other stuff in the mix if you want to do that. I don't know how long AJ Lee wants to stay around for. You can put her career on the line in Vegas. I know that sounds odd, but I don't know if she wants to be full-time technically all the time because, it's nice to come back and get about, but we never really dove into how long she wants to stay.
Right.
We understand Punk's there for the long haul, but that doesn't mean she is. And once again, I'm not upset if she's not, but it would be a good way to bring some stakes to there. Or you know what? Hey, let's shave someone's head.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's go. Anyways, I'm joking, but I do think AJ Lee has to win just so we can get this move on to WrestleMania. And if you want to make it bigger, you can even throw Bayley in the mix at WrestleMania. Because I know they kind of tease that a little bit.
I would not mind seeing that, actually, the triple threat.
Threat with 3 legends, like all 3 of them are Hall of Famers. Hell, make it a 4-way and add like Charlotte. You have like the 4 horse, we can't have the 4th horsewoman because she's under contract elsewhere, but it would be kind of like having the 4 horsewomen in a 4-way match.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make the argument for it.
So there's a lot of things you could do here.
Yeah, except I already think that they tip their hand a little bit what they're doing with Charlotte.
Well, yes, I understand. I'm just fantasy booking
wise,
okay?
Yeah, I could definitely see it.
But the triple threat is definitely on the table.
Oh, yes, that is.
All right. Although another 4-way, you could add Natty to the match because we've seen that friction between Natty. There's that little thing, but there's friction between her and Becky. Obviously, big friction between her and AJ. There's friction between her and Bayley. There's a lot of story. Once again, we have the opportunity to have one of the biggest women's night or WrestleManias of all time over the 2 nights. The other singles match on this card is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Your champion, the hometown hero, the Second City Saint, the best in the world, CM Punk, defending the title against the man who is not coming to the ring with Judgment Day. He's told Judgment Day to stay in the back. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Finn Balor, or as Sammy likes to call Finn Balor, Pin Balor. Ooh, that hurts the soul a little bit.
Yes.
But we've had a good setup here. Let's be honest, there's been a good back and forth. We were kind of shocked. I know myself and you and even Sam, we were kind of shocked that this close to Mania, they were going to pull the trigger on a big storyline. Usually it's dead air between now and Mania. So this is kind of cool and new territory to have Finn Balor, a top tier wrestler, going against one of the greatest of all time, if not the best in the world, if you will, CM Punk, in Chicago, Illinois. Here's the thing. There's one of 2 things that happens here. And I don't like the outcome of one. The outcome that I don't like, so I'm not going to pick it, is if Finn Balor does become World Heavyweight Champion. If they go, let's go for shock, let's go for awe, like last year with Io Sky defeating Rhea Ripley on Raw to win the women's championship and messing up the whole dynamic of what we thought was going to happen at WrestleMania, right?
Right.
If you do that, and you have Finn Balor win, I don't think there's a possible way where Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns happens at WrestleMania. And I don't think that we're going to do a triple threat again, because the triple threat of Punk, Balor, and Reigns is not adding value. That does not make the match bigger.
Right.
And actually, it's going to sound bad, and I'm not crapping on Finn Balor, but it's going to lessen the match, because then Finn Balor's there to take the pin.
Yep.
And it takes away from the match. And I just don't like that mix. So the only option to make him champion here is to have him drop the title a week or two later, or, month before Mania, to reclaim the match between Punk. And could it lead to some exciting television? Yes, but it's predictable television. So I do not like that idea because of the predictability. So I think CM Punk has to go over here to protect the main event. You can do this a couple different ways. You can do it clean and just have Punk go over. You can do it in a way where it looks like WWE and Adam Pearce are protecting Punk, and they screw over Finn Balor in a way that it's the Office. But the way I think you're really going to do it is Dominic Mysterio costing Finn Balor the match, which will set up Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania, which, once again, when we're building a card that we were not fans of originally, there it is. Your thoughts?
I've been saying that for weeks now. That is exactly how it's going to play out. Dom is going to wind up accidentally screwing over Finn Balor, or maybe doing it on
I don't
purpose.
know about accident.
Well, I was going to say
purposely.
I got to do my air quotes. Get my hands up in time. But no, that sets up that match for Mania. I've been calling that for weeks now. That is the only way this plays out. If Punk loses, hypothetically, they're going to run it back on Monday night. He's going to get the belt back. And it's going to be a waste of a weekend. You're going to have 48 hours of people freaking out for nothing. So that's why I say the only way this match can end is with Dom screwing over Finn, setting up their match at Mania, which, listen, that's a main event match.
Dirty Dom, baby. Dirty Dom. And what does Sammy say? Because I think Sammy's dropped some in there.
Finn loses and face turn facing Dirty Dom for IC title at Mania. Yep.
Yeah.
Sammy's with us too.
I think
chat, super chat. Definitely throw your picks in too. You agreeing with us?
All right. Let's move on to we got the 2 Elimination Chamber match. Actually, let's have some fun. Before we do the Elimination Chamber match, we got 2 fun segments, right?
Yep.
So you had mentioned earlier that you think that they're going to have a 5th match. What if we're giving you the book, what's the 5th match? What do you think of the 5th match would be?
Kit Wilson versus Brock Lesnar.
Really? You think that?
I think that. And then maybe that's when Ova comes down. Or there'll be some that's would set up that match. So that's where I think they would go. Because Kit Wilson, the theme song is too catchy, folks. I think they're going to have him on that pay-per-view to get that reaction. And instead of, like, he'll say something like he'll fight anybody but Oba, and then Brock will come out. And Brock is saying, you're looking for a fight? I'll give you a fight. I'm looking for one for Mania. Boom, that sets it up. But since he didn't want to fight Oba, that'll kind of tease that a little bit.
I can dig that. Sucker.
Yeah.
And now, of course, I know we got asked earlier, what's in the box? What's in the box? Ken, I mean, I want to hear it. I know we had fun with it.
Yeah, no, I have my pick.
I know we had fun in chat, super chat. You guys can drop whatever picks you want. We did have fun with it at the end of the show a couple weeks when it was announced. So, Ken, I want to get serious ones from both of us.
Yep. What
is your serious pick? As you said, you already have. What is your serious pick? Who is in? Because we don't. It's not a what.
Yeah.
Who is in the box?
Danhausen.
You think it's Danhausen?
100%. It has to be Danhausen because of how they've written this angle. Because this has been done with a comedic twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
That you've had Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis go back and forth like they're playing ping pong. If somebody is inside, it has to be a comedic wrestler. You can't have somebody that would be serious about this. So it has to be Danhausen. I mean, I'm just trying to think if there was another comedic wrestler they have on roster that would make sense. But Danhausen is perfect sense for this.
I like what you say there, and I wasn't even going with that. I have the same. My pick is also Danhausen. And the reason that I was going with is look at the box. The box looks like it's old and degraded, and it fits into the fact that Danhausen is supposed to be an immortal vampire. Mm-hmm. So he's supposed to be, he's never given an age, but he alludes to being hundreds of years old, which we know obviously he's not. But you know what I mean? It would make sense. And the box works in that case because it fits into the Dracula lore.
Yes.
If you remember Bram Stoker's Dracula, how Dracula got to England was in a crate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would make sense. And of course, with the Fally back and forth, he's going to curse somebody.
Yes.
And it makes all the sense in the world. We've heard that he possibly is free to sign up anywhere. He is friends with CM Punk. Chicago is a perfect place for Danhausen because Chicago is a very, and I hate using this term, as you know, because I don't want to downplay anybody, but it's a very smart crowd, as you will. They know the indies, they know the character, they will pop.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you were going to do that, this would be the place for it.
Yeah.
Although I do have fears that it could be somebody else that were, like people were not thinking of. Like one of the ones that I have a fear of, and I pray to Lord Jesus, baby Christ, whatever you want to go with, if we're going to talk about Talladega Nights, please, baby Jesus in the manger, don't let it be Jasper Troy, your boy.
No, I don't.
But they've gotten sour on him a little bit.
That's but see, here's the thing. He's been on TV.
Right, but still, they were over on him for some.
Oh, I understand that, but now, I think he's staying at NXT. I don't think it's anybody we've seen at NXT or doing the Worlds Collides events. I think it's going to be somebody brand new to the company.
What if it's the American Badass to induct somebody else in the Hall of Fame?
Could you imagine? Okay, if they open it up and granted, we're having some fun here, and it is, and he just wants to induct Nick Aldis. He's like, I've been trying to get here, but you won't open the door on me.
Well, the only other comedic act it could be, and like you pointed out, he's already in NXT, would be Joe Hendry.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. But yeah, exactly. Like you have to have somebody new come in, but it has to be somebody with a comedic angle.
And for some people out there, because I know the detractors who hear this will be like, "Oh, you guys are picking Danhausen. He's not that big of a star." He first of all, yes, he is, and secondly, you aren't thinking about the money-making potential. Mm-hmm. That you have to understand how much money Danhausen makes in merchandising. Like even without being on television, he made money. And then even after he was on television, not on television, he makes money. There is so many action figures already of Danhausen that sell a lot. Like Danhausen is in. And I'm not just saying it because he's a wonderful human being outside of the ring and deserves all the flowers. I'm also saying that because he is one of the most toyetic and cartoonish in the good way characters that you can have. It's money making.
Yeah, he's tailor-made for WWE.
Money making. Like that was one of the things I was very judgmental about Tony Khan on dropping the ball on making all that money. Like, how do you not make all that money? I don't understand that. Anyways, I digress. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to now finally talk about the 2 Elimination Chamber matches. We'll start with the women's match. The winner of the Elimination Chamber match will go on to WrestleMania 42 to take on the WWE Women's Champion, which currently is Jade Cargill. In this match, we have Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Kiana James, and Raquel Rodriguez. I'm going to say it. Kiana James is the one name that doesn't really fit. However, this could be a big star-making moment for Kiana James. I know she's been changing and turning some heads lately, not just as the manager of Julia, but also in her in-ring work. Mm-hmm. And of course, they're high up on Raquel Rodriguez, which I got to be honest, we've talked about it on this show since she's been under the tutelage of the original Big Sexy Kevin Nash. Has been definitely doing some good stuff. And then, of course, you have, we'll call it what it is. You have a phenomenal group of 4 women in Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss, which is all Hall of Famers at this point.
Yes.
And I understand some people will be like, well, it's a little early to talk about Tiffany as a Hall of Famer. I don't know if it is or not. Her resume says otherwise already in her young career. Mm-hmm. Rhea Ripley's also not that old, and we already know she's going to be a Hall of Famer. Oh, yeah. Asuka and Alexa Bliss are both Hall of Famers. Period. Ken, you're in the hot seat first here. I was in the hot seat earlier first. Who do you think is walking out of the Elimination Chamber and getting a shot at the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania 42?
We're talking about the huge main event that you can make here, and it has to be Rhea Ripley, in my opinion. I think everybody has different storylines going on there. I think Alexa is going to be fighting Charlotte, and they break up their team finally. Asuka would make sense too, but then again, she's also been doing a lot of tag team work with Kairi Sane. Tiffany, I mean, they just had that feud not too long ago. I don't know if they want to go back. And Kiana James and Raquel, I think, are on the cusp of making that breakout, but I don't think they're there yet. But I think they're going to have breakout performances in this match, though. So I think it's got to be Rhea.
I am actually going to go with Raquel Rodriguez. Okay. I think Raquel is going to get the shot. I don't think that's going to lead to a tremendous match, but let's be honest. As much I'm trying to be nice, Jade, the Jade Cargill experiment has failed. And I think all of us were just hoping to have Bianca Belair come back in time to get that WrestleMania match that, was a fantasy book match prior to Jade Cargill coming to WWE, and even after she originally came. I don't think that's going to happen. Unless somebody gets taken out of this match and Bianca Belair is inserted in said match, and then Bianca Belair wins. That's an easy no-brainer, right? But Raquel Rodriguez, I think, is going to win because I think that they are high up on that. And I think because the Judgment Day is going to be coming to an end, we can move Raquel over to SmackDown and hopefully shoot some adrenaline into the women's division in SmackDown. Not saying that the women are terrible over there, but like the singles action in SmackDown is not equaling up to Raw. I think we can all admit that. I also think the reason I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley not winning is because the women's tag division in WWE has been pretty good. And I think that you would be missing out on a moment to have Rhea and Io defend those titles unless she pulls double duty at WrestleMania. And I think that they're going to want to have the women's tag team titles on the line at WrestleMania, just because, listen, they have star power tag champions who have done amazingly well. And that division is really good. So giving it all the credit it's due. It's a very good division. So that's where I think we're going. What's Sammy say?
Sammy's saying Rhea. She can drag a good match out of Jade.
I don't know if anybody can drag a good match. Asuka couldn't drag a good match out of Jade.
Yeah.
Listen, if you have a bad match with Asuka.
Yeah.
Like Asuka's one of the greatest women's performers of all time. How do you have a bad match with Asuka? I would argue Asuka could wrestle a broom to a 5-star match. Until I saw the Jade Cargill match. All right, enough of that. I'm just saying. I think the experiment's over. I'm just saying. I just think it's over.
It'll be on New Year.
And once again, it's nothing against. I think Jade Cargill's a wonderful human being. She seems to be very nice. She seems to be amazing. I love the fact that she gets to live out a dream. We got to see her on Raw hugging AJ. She has a lot of emotion. I just think it doesn't translate into the ring for some reason. Sometimes you just don't have it. She has all the factors except for the in-ring stuff. And that's the rough part. Unless you really protect. And AEW did a better job of protecting her because they treated her like Goldberg. Squash matches, easy wins. All right, let's go to what is presumably the main event of the evening. It will be the men's elimination chamber match for the undisputed WWE championship. Winner will get a shot at currently Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 42. Here is the competitors. We got the original legend killer, Randy Orton. We got L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
Talk to him. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And then we have two fun ones, Javon Evans.
Yeah.
And whoop that Trick Williams. And then, of course, main event Jey Uso to round out. I go first here. And I can say, and I can pray that it's not Jey Uso.
Yeah.
That's my one caveat here. I do not want it to be Jey Uso. And nothing against Jey Uso. Just we've already been down that road. I want it to be LA Knight with all my being. I want this match to be LA Knight with all my being. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and pick LA Knight. But I know it's probably not going to be. I know it's probably going to be Ken.
Okay, so let's just go over this. First and foremost, speedy, healthy recovery wishes Bronson Reed.
Yes,
obviously.
Yes, we didn't talk about that. Bronson Reed got injured
tore his bicep on Monday night. So,
by the way, we blame this on Miss Sammy because she said something about somebody else getting injured in the vision.
Yeah. So we could not
looking at you through the camera.
Yeah, we couldn't conclude the episode without mentioning that, Sammy. But no, I am right there with you. This has to be LA Knight. If you're one of two things has to happen in Mania for him. The movement needs to have this crowning achievement and winning the world title, or he's got to go over Brock Lesnar. One of the two things has to happen. Otherwise, what are we doing?
I don't think the latter's going to happen.
I know, but it's just one of the two has to happen with him because now it's kind of like, what are we doing? Because if it's going to be him against Logan Paul, because that's the only person left in the division, I'm sorry, we've been down this road before. We don't need to go back right now. That being said, Trick Williams is going to be
I love Trick.
An MVP in this match. Same with Javon Evans. they are, like we alluded to, or I said with Kiana James and Raquel, like they're on the cusp. Like they could be in that world title picture next year. No question about it. My fear with this match, though, I agree with you. It's going to be Cody because of shenanigans. Like Jacob Fatu runs in through the cage or something and goes crazy. Like I'm fearing it's just going to be this big mess that they have to go, well, we didn't have a clear-cut winner, so everybody's in the main event against Drew McIntyre, and that's how we do the scramble match, which I will not like at all.
I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not
with you. I'm not a fan.
But that's the only thing I could say, because Jacob Fatu is still in this storyline purpose. He's going to get involved some way. I fear they're going to drop the ball here. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I fear Cody's going to win, or somehow they're just going to say we're going to have to run this back at Mania without the cage, and then that's where you get your 5.
I will say this. I agree that I fear both of those things. I also fear, and I just fear Cody Rhodes winning. And it's not because I don't like Cody Rhodes, but I'm just tired of Cody Rhodes main eventing WrestleMania. Because let's be honest, Cody Rhodes, as much as he's a star, he's the second star behind Roman Reigns. We can call him QB1 and make that joke. He's not Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here you have an opportunity. And here's how I'm going to point this out. You have an opportunity to make WrestleMania exciting AF, right?
Yep.
Right here in this match, I can tell you how we can make this happen. You can have Jacob Fatu get involved. You can have him get caught off by Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm.
That takes care of Jey Uso. And at WrestleMania, you can either do a tag match with Jey Uso, Jimmy and Jay versus Jacob Fatu and whoever else you want.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do a one-on-one main event Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu match. Then in this match, you could possibly set up, maybe not for Mania, but you could set up a feud between Javon Evans and Trick Williams, which would be exciting and would get both of those young men over.
Yes.
But the biggest one you can set up, not just having LA Knight win and go on to WrestleMania to have the shitter get off the pot moment finally with LA Knight, because it has to happen.
Yes.
Right? Either one of the two, make it happen. Either say, no, he's not the guy and never will be the guy, and we'll just, he'll be relegated off, or at least give him one run to see if he can be the champion. To see if he can be, because what's the worst case scenario? It's Jey Uso, which was like Kofi Kingston before him and everybody else. And that's not crapping on guys. That's just saying that sometimes you're just not meant to be world champion.
Mm.
And you could really set up the match that we all want to see at Mania on the undercard, which is what has to be strong here. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
Because all you have to do in this match is Randy get eliminated by Cody, and then Randy punts Cody. Punts Cody, Cody gets eliminated. It writes itself. Cody gets the best of Randy, like in a roll-up situation, so it's not like the Crossroads or anything. And Randy RKOs and punts Cody out of the match. And then you put Cody on the shelf for a couple weeks. When he comes back, he jumps Randy Orton, and we're off to the races at WrestleMania.
Yep.
And it's a match that people want and have been begging for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a WrestleMania-worthy match. Ladies and gentlemen, I just helped WrestleMania.
No, but I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, if this is how it needs to go down, if it's going to be exciting. LA Knight has to have that moment. Like I say, we had the yeet moment. Now we got the yeah moment.
We've had the yes moment. We had the yeet moment. Now we could have the yeah moment.
You have to give whoever's in that spotlight that time to shine.
Kofi Mania.
And then whatever happens after that, happens after that. So this is the time to do it. Otherwise, this is for nothing. And you can't just keep going back to Drew, Cody, and whoever in a triple threat. Nobody's going to care about that.
Yeah.
If you do the scramble match,
everybody gets lost in the shuffle, baby.
Yeah, it's going to
everybody get lost in the shuffle, baby.
It'll just be too messy, and that's the problem.
And you're taking Logan. I'm taking Logan Paul out of the Mania anyways, because I really still believe that there's a possibility it's him and Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's schedule is opened.
Sammy did have a comment about that.
Go ahead.
She says LA Knight win and heel turn, joins the Vision, gets hurt. LOL.
No, I don't think that's.
I don't think that's fine.
That's not going to happen. Don't be putting that out.
Don't. Yeah, you've already done enough damage.
You've done enough damage. You took a Bronson Reed away from us. Jeez, Louise. Listen. But no, I agree with you. I think there's so much you can do out of this match to literally make WrestleMania that much better. Because, like I said, I would even put Javon and Trick on him for WrestleMania and give them a moment. But I'm just saying, even if you don't, that's a good feud to keep both of them over. They're both over. This crowd is going to chant "whoop that Trick."
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Like I say, they could steal the show whatever night they're on.
Oh, absolutely.
Whatever night.
So there's a lot going on. with Elimination Chamber. And of course, we'll be watching like everybody else, 7 p.m. Eastern this Saturday. And of course, next week on the show, we will be talking about what went down there. But we have one more segment. I know we're in the middle, a little bit of overtime. We try not to do that as much with Thursday Night Impact. But because of AJ Styles being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I want to have a serious conversation, and we can have some fun with it too. But who's going to the Hall of Fame in 2026? We know 2 spots. We got Stephanie McMahon. We've got and we got AJ Styles. And usually we get at least 4 to 5 on the main show, and then this we don't have to worry about the supplements, if you will. But let's talk about it. Who do we think is going into the Hall of Fame in 2026? Chop it in there as well. Ken, do you have any thoughts? Who do you think might get a shot in the Hall of Fame this year?
I think now is the time for Demolition.
Oh, yeah.
I think that has been long overdue. There's been reasons.
Yeah, but
those reasons have been cleared up. Now is the time to do it. That is the easiest no-brainer for me. As far as a leap, I would say Paige.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, I understand she's been training in the ring, but she could also run it as an angle and saying, well, it's nice you're inducting me, but I'm not done yet. And spin it like that. And that'd be something if she's coming back. We don't know what she's doing yet.
Absolutely.
So that would be my first 2 right there. And then I was going to say we have to have a celebrity, right?
Yeah, there's always a celebrity wing.
Because I don't know if they would do McAfee just yet.
I think it's too early for Paige.
I think so too.
It's a little too early, but I could see them doing it.
I could see them, like I say, it's dependent on how they want to do this. Because I know Batista, obviously, but I think
he wants to do his speech.
Yeah,
and he's super busy.
That's
if
the
it
problem.
Was he has time and clears up, it could be any year, because he said that he really wants to be there to do a speech. He doesn't want to, and his schedule is just
it's crazy.
I'm agreeing with you with Demolition. I think Demolition is a no-brainer at this point in juncture. Nothing says WWF like Demolition. Now that the things are cleared up with them, and the company and them are on good terms, they are signed to a Legends deal. This is a perfect opportunity to get them in the Hall of Fame because A, they deserve it, and B, if you've been watching the WWF for a long time, for those of us who came up, Demolition was their answer to the Road Warriors. And in a lot of ways, and I will never say they were bigger than the Road Warriors, because I don't think they were, but in the WWE universe, if you will, they were. Yeah. And to see them go in would be amazing. So, well, you can still have them going. So I think that's a no-brainer in my opinion. I'll be very shocked if they don't pull that trigger. I like your guess with Paige. That'd be good. And that would also be a good storyline way to get her maybe back in the ring for a couple matches and also explain why she's not back full-time. That would be a really good one. I mean, but then again, they did put Michelle McCool in. So Coco Beware, I used to make fun of that, but we found out it can get worse. I'm trying to think of celebrities that aren't in already, because I feel like a lot of the ones that we would mention are in. They are in Vegas. Is Mike Tyson in the Hall of Fame?
That's a good question. He's out in Vegas too.
Yeah, that's why I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to say Mike Tyson. I'm going to say Iron Mike. I could be wrong. If he is, somebody correct me, but I don't remember him being inducted in the Hall of Fame. No, I think I would remember that speech.
I think it's been rumored for so long that,
and it is Vegas. That's why I'm saying. I think Iron Mike. I think Mike Tyson might be the celebrity. I would pick Mike Tyson. Yeah,
I would too. No, like I say, he's been rumored for so long. I thought he was in there already.
Right, but I'm saying I think we would have remembered that speech. Yeah, because we remember. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Sorry, Mike. I love you. Yeah, I love you. Listen, I grew up in the era of Iron Mike Tyson. Not watered down Mike Tyson, not not
fighting Jake Paul,
not Adderall Mike Tyson. I'm talking like Iron Mike, knocking people out, knocking people through the ropes. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going to say Mike Tyson is my pick for the celebrity award. So I think we're both on the same page with Demolition. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to do another female wrestler, because I mean Stephanie is going in, but if they do, I think a no-brainer for Paige, in my opinion. Like as far as people left and deserve, I think so. So there you go. I think that's it. Everybody, if you once again, if you made it through this whole show and you're watching us on the replay, leave a comment. We always want to
we
hear
always
from
pop
you.
back and check.
We always check. We always congregate. We always go back and conversate with everybody. And of course, make sure you're heading over to FanlightZone.com, checking out those comic book reviews and everything else we got going. We're building more and more on the website. You're going to want to be on the ground floor as we go forward. Make sure you're following us on all the social medias because, hey, we got video reviews for comics coming out. We always are talking to people. And hell, Ken M will probably be chatting with folks from the Fanlight Zone account, at least a couple chats during the
I'll go live chat. I'll live chat this weekend
because you usually do at least a few. So I'm gonna throw that out there. And of course, if you're not watching us this show right now on the Fanlight Zone YouTube channel, after you're done watching us on X or Twitch, head on over to the Fanlight Zone YouTube channel. If you are watching us on the YouTube channel, guess what? You already got part of this done. So I want you to hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications. And of course, hit that thumbs up to let the algorithm know that we're going to wrestle it down to the ground and take it out. With that being said, we're done talking about pro wrestling this week.
Yes.
And we are going to enjoy Elimination Chamber, hopefully. I should say we're going to. We don't know. Maybe we won't. Well, you'll find out next week when we're back, as we always are, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk all things pro wrestling. And next week, it will be our recap of Elimination Chamber and what else is going on around the world of wrestling. But until then, for myself, for Ken M, for Miss Sammy, who's at home, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and most importantly, later, wrestling fans.